Okay, we're going live while we are driving. Channeling and driving, my favorite thing, right? Because, it's hard to explain, but I'm not going to get into that because we are talking about what if you have more than one. Oh, what if you have more than one? Could you, not look at your phone while you're walking across the street? That would be great. You're a crazy person. I could run into you. Anyway, sorry. Sorry. Channeling and driving, oh my goodness. Anyway, sorry. We are, if you have more than one soul connection, there's a person in your life where it's not like, oh, I just feel so close to this person. It's like you have actual telepathy. You have actual, downloads about this person. You know things about this person that, you wouldn't ordinarily know about someone that you just know. It's not, the feeling of being in love. Sometimes, you can have a telepathic connection with someone and not be in love. Oh, there's so much traffic. Anywho, so what if you, but, here's the thing, which I always say. I could make t-shirt. We could make t-shirts that say "Use your discernment," because that is my biggest thing is use your discernment. And sometimes it can be very difficult because you're like, what if you hear a lot of different voices? It's like, what is telepathy? What is a spirit? What is a guide? What is a person who's alive right now who's speaking to me, who's trying to help me? What is an archon or a jinn or a negative spirit? And then what is a spirit that has passed away that's trying to communicate with me as a medium to tell other people things? And then there are spirits who have passed away who are not trying to use you as a medium. They are just simply trying to talk to you and saying oh, this is your aunt, whatever, Betty, who passed away in 1992 and just wanted to tell you blah, 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 And anyway, so part of it is the problem is the discernment of who is who, which person is which person, because you can ask them, but if it's a jinn or an archon, they can pretend to be other people. So I think you really have to feel into your body and how does my body feel when I'm speaking to this person? Do I feel positive or do I feel negative? And one thing that Lynn Monet says is when you're speaking to them, if you start saying really loving things, not I love you or I'm in love with you, but just things about love and world peace and loving humanity or whatever, if they start kind of acting bizarre or saying bizarre things, or they just kind of disappear or they stop talking, it's probably an archon or a jinn or a negative entity. It could be a deceased person who's just a very negative deceased person, and that does happen too. And you don't have to entertain all these people. You don't have to. Just say no. I don't want to talk to you. And it is for your best. It's in your best interest to not talk to archons and jinns and these negative people, or a negative person who's passed on, who's just you don't have to entertain that. You just say no. Anyway, so but what if you have two? What if you have two soul connections? And let's say there's a romantic spark, sexual spark, there's a chemical spark of some sort, in terms of it's not a platonic connection. You know what I mean? Where if you're heterosexual, it's a man and a woman. You can be any, configuration of orientations, but there's definitely you think the person's attractive in some way. And you feel they think you're attractive in some way, romantically, sexually, what have you, What do you do if you have more than one? And what if you're married and you don't have a soul connection with your spouse, and then this soul connection comes in? And not all soul connections are twin flames at all. No. Because this one talks to people who are alive all the time. She's one woman who's basically her guardian angel, who talks to her, who's an alive person, we think, who talks to her all the time and is constantly giving her guidance from higher guides. And anyway, so you can have telepathy with people, and have it be like, completely. It doesn't have to be your twin flame. It doesn't mean they're your twin flame. So please do not think that just because you have telepathy with someone, or you are like finishing each other's sentences, or having dreams with each other, or you're having like astral sex, you're having just knowing how they feel, that you can feel how they feel, even though you're on the other side of the planet, or you are like way far away from each other, or what have you, that doesn't mean that you are twin flames. Okay. But like, what do you do if you do find yourself in a position where you have two people that you are connected with in a soul connection, and you're interested in both of them? Like, what do you do? What does that mean? Why does that happen? And the thing is, the soul is not monogamous in terms of souls don't get married. Souls don't agree to get married. That's a completely like human, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with marriage or monogamy at all, but that's not a soul thing. Our soul, I don't believe that your souls get married. And I could go on and on and on about that, but like, and I know there's a lot of people who completely disagree with that, and I honor their opinion. However, anyone who's been married more than once, or been in love more than once, I mean, you always think, oh, this person is my soulmate, this person's my soulmate, no, this person's my soulmate. I mean, you tend to. And then you move on and you change and you grow, and then this person's my soulmate, or what have you, and like, we all change and grow, and like, it would be ridiculous to think that you're, on a soul level, that you're married to all those people. I mean, you can't be, that's too difficult, I'm not going to go into that, but what I'm saying is, your soul is not monogamous, and so just because you have a close soul connection with someone, and you're speaking, telepathically, and maybe you're speaking in person, maybe you're a coworker, and like a lot of times there's really nothing very romantic or sexual going on in the 3D realm. You just know this person, and you feel this draw to them, and it can grow over time, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, well, hi, how are you? Telepathically, just starts, and we go like, oh, what does this mean? What does this mean? And when you are first getting into these soul connections, you will think, especially if you are identifying as a woman, or you are carrying the feminine energy in this pairing, this dyad, you are going to think, oh, this must mean that there's going to be a relationship, and even if it is your twin flame, that doesn't mean that a relationship is pending. It doesn't mean that this is meant to be, and that you are meant to have a relationship. You can. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes you have a soul contract with this person, and it's just a sharing of energy, right? And it can be a sexual sharing of energy, but like, everybody's situation is different, right? And so the reason that you're sharing your energy with different people is to learn different things in ways that we cannot learn about other people just from speaking in 3D or interacting in 3D. And so there's a way of getting energy and knowledge from this person on a spiritual level that comes from these soul connections. And so it's really here to teach you something. It's not like to teach you a lesson or something. It's just to get to know another person. Just getting to know another person and seeing, like, you can feel their feelings, and really get to know them on a deeper level. And that's the cool part. Like, that's the amazing part of it. Is it's such a gift to be able to share energy with someone and sort of see inside their brain in a way that you never could just from interacting in 3D. And so that's a way for you to learn about new people. And like, maybe that is why a lot of times when people have a soul connection, and it's somebody who's very different from them, they're like different races, different religions, they live in a different part of the world, they've had completely different backgrounds, different childhoods, their personalities are very different, and maybe that's part of it, is because the spirit has wanted people, like this person from, a Muslim family and this person from a Jewish family in like countries where the Muslims and the Jews are at war, like are sharing information and connecting on a soul level. And I just use that as one example. Any situation like where maybe your families are like sort of like a Romeo and Juliet sort of situation in a way, where like for whatever reason your countries, your families, your communities, your whatever are at war with each other, or you are not supposed to be together, or it's just a very unlikely, there's age difference. There can be a big age difference that happens a lot because it's just different generations learning from each other, and it's not like a learning like 2 + 2 = 4. It's a learning that is beyond words. It's beyond words. And you're basically taking like little pieces of that person's spirit into your own spirit, and you have little pieces of their spirit with you. And so sometimes it can be really great. Maybe you did not know that a person like this existed. You're like, oh my gosh, I had no idea that there were people who are like that. Like, wow, okay. And sometimes maybe it can just be like, I didn't know someone like that would be interested. I had no idea that someone who has these amazing qualities would have any kind of interest in me at all, in terms of being attracted to them, not just the pretty outside, pretty or handsome outside, but like, I didn't know this person was, this type of a person is capable of liking me, like, really? I didn't think I was. And so that can be a part of it too, is it sort of like builds your self-esteem in a way, in some cases, and maybe that expands your mind a little bit and goes like, oh, okay, I didn't realize that I can attract people like that, and you really like me? Oh, okay, well that's good, but it doesn't mean that you have a relationship in 3D, or that you have to tell the person, oh my god, I don't think you should tell the person, especially if you are the female, if you identify as female, or the person who carries the yin feminine energy. Don't tell the other person. Unless you are very close in 3D. I wouldn't say anything, because masculine energy in 3D. Okay, we're shifting over to a new topic, okay? That part's over. We're going to talk about this now. Is the idea of being in a oneness with your higher power, or with God, what have you. Like, it is so against everything that so-called civilized industrial Western nations teach that a masculine should be. Like, a man should be independent. He should be separate. We're all separate. We're all, everything is very ego-focused, Especially in the West, we're very focused on the individual. And this doesn't have anything to do with being male or female. I'm just talking about energies, masculine and female. But in terms of this part doesn't have anything to do with that. But like, when you ask a person from a Western country to draw a picture of yourself, and they'll go, oh, I can't draw, but we'll just draw a stick. Just draw it, whatever you can. It doesn't matter if it looks like a 2-year-old drew it. They'll draw a stick figure of themselves. Usually. Or they'll just draw a picture of their face. Okay? If you ask a person from other countries and other kinds of cultures, can you draw me a picture of yourself? They will draw their family, their dog, their house. They don't see themselves as being a separate person. They see their entire family. Like in India, they see their entire family as being themselves. Like, there's no separate person there necessarily. Anyway, so my point is this, that if you're in one of those countries where when you draw a picture of yourself, it's only you, and everything's the individual's rights, the individual's this, the individual that, the self is very much like, you choose the self over community, you choose the self over family. It's all about, the psychology is all about finding your true self, living your truth, having your own truth. It's not a community type of situation in these, like colonialist Western civilizations. I'm not saying the indigenous people are like that at all. They're quite the opposite. However, I mean, indigenous people in the Western Hemisphere. Okay, but so like if you look at that, that's one part of it, and then the other piece is like when you put on top of that the fact that like these Western civilized ideas of manhood. Oh my gosh, the rugged individual, and the guy who's out there just being a leader, and he's like the king of his castle, and he's out there by himself doing this and making just making things happen, and so like if this is a man who is not in touch with his soul and has not really done a lot of spiritual work and isn't really familiar with all of these kinds of things, he's going to be in shock. He might not even know. He might think he's fantasizing. He might think it's just a daydream. He might think he's just making it up. He might be like, what the hell is this? And if you are not close to this man and you tell him, he's going to be like, I have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. And if he's a nice person, he'll be like, oh, well, I believe you, but I don't feel that, I don't hear it. But if they have any kind of an issue with a fear of ego death, a fear of losing their independence, a fear of losing their autonomy, a fear of there's this whole thing of like a mother wound, because we are so one with our mothers when we were younger, so that if you have this sort of mother wound where like you didn't properly attach to your mother, or whatever your female caregiver was, that especially as a male, there's a fear of being completely consumed and completely like just swallowed whole by love. And so for a female to say like, I think we're telepathic and I'm having these experiences with you, it can be a complete shock, and it can also just trigger trigger that whole like mother wound, the whole thing of like, oh, I don't believe in any of that. I'm like this scientific man. I'm this like individual guy, and it really makes them afraid of like the ego death. So I don't say again, use your discernment in trying to decide if you want to tell someone about this. And I would say like, if you do tell someone and they have a really bad reaction, try to have a little bit of, compassion and empathy, but at the same time, kind of say something about their character. If they come back and they're just kind of mean about it, or making fun of you, or telling you they don't believe you, or telling you that you're crazy, telling you that, implying that it's like, oh, it's magical thinking, you're stalking me, blah blah blah, and do not stalk them. Just because you have a spiritual connection with someone does not mean that you have the right to do anything with them, or that they owe you anything. And so, that it doesn't give you any kind of ownership or any kind of license to bother them if they say, oh, I don't feel that way and I really don't want to talk about this. Don't talk about it anymore. You need to like really respect the person's boundaries. But like, and so then, if you find yourself being a person who identifies as male, and then the other person is a female, or has that female energy, she is more likely, I think, to take it in a more responsive way and not be as like shocked, or as it's not going to. Women are more like, oh, that's interesting. If they're open to that kind of a thing, but it doesn't like trigger necessarily like, unless you do it in like a very creepy stalkery way, but it's not going to like, trigger some sort of like, the mother wound, I guess. Like women just aren't as afraid of connection. They're not as afraid of, there's not this fear of being swallowed whole by love, I'm going to steal your soul. And so, I would say, okay, so let's get back to this. If you have two connections, oh my gosh, what do you do? Like, what if you have another one, and the other one is, and you're like, oh, do I tell the first person about the second person? Do I tell the second person about the first person? Like, what do I do? And again, like, it's very difficult because it just depends on what are your beliefs, and what are the other person's beliefs, and like, what is your relationship like? Because I'm going to be honest with you, if you have more than one soul connection at a time, chances are you're going to keep having them, and they will come and go. Like, this one has had quite a few that have just come and gone, and they learned what they needed to learn from each other, and then it was just over, and it was like, okay, bye. Some of them lasted a couple weeks, and a couple months, and oh, that was fun, thanks, and it was over. And one of the guys she barely talked to online, and another one she like literally only sent him a message, and he never responded. But it was like click, it started, and it was like it started this whole huge thing, all in 5D, and then it was over, and she was like, oh, that was fun. So if you are having these connections, chances are there's gonna be more, and so you got to think to yourself, like, okay, how is my partner going to take this? And if I think that this is going to keep happening, what kind of a person do I want to be? What kind of integrity do I have? What do I owe this person? And how would I want to be told? Like, would it be okay if your partner that you have a soul connection with what if she had other soul connections? What if he had other soul connections? You know what I'm saying? And so there are people who tell their spouse, yeah, I think this person is my twin flame, and it does not go well. No, it does not go well. It hardly ever ends well. They try and try and try and try to make it work, but once you have that depth of a connection with another person, it changes you. So it's not only the fact that you've got another person in there, it's in your life, it's that it changes you, and that's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to change you as a person, and that change can really make it difficult to stay with someone who has not awakened and has not seen the things that you've seen. And it also helps you to see sometimes, oh, so this kind of person over here is attracted to me. It means that must mean I'm better than I thought I was, and I deserve more than I thought I did. And it really makes you see love in a different way. And so maybe that's another part of it, is it makes you see love in a different way, and it makes you see possibilities, and like, well, I saw myself like this, but what I'm really like this. And so it's difficult to know what to do, but I would just say, just be careful. Just be careful, and think about, what is my intention in telling this person, whoever it is, like, what is my intention in telling this person? What do I want from this person? Because if you want very specific things, like, I want a relationship, or I want to meet this person and have sex, or I want this person to be my friend with benefits, or I want this person to be my friend for life, or I want to have this person talk to me about spirituality, like, every day. I want this person to, like, go explore the universe with me, like, every day. Really look at your intentions. And is this realistic? Is it realistic of me to expect these things of another human? Because I'm going to say, no, it's not. You don't get to decide on your own what these connections should be. You can think, I'm going to ask this person to marry me. I know they're married to someone else, but I'm going to ask them to marry me. That doesn't make sense. You know what I'm saying? So you have to use your common sense, and you have to really look at, like, what do I want? And think about it a lot before you tell anyone. And if it's you telling your partner, hey, I really feel drawn to this other person, I've got the soul connection, there's telepathy happening, I just want you to know that's why I'm kind of spacing out, that's why maybe you feel my energy, pulling away, and I don't really know what to tell you, I don't know what to do. You know why you're doing that, and be prepared for anything, because we have no idea what other people are going to think or do or whatever. And I would also say, have other people around that are, like, going through this, or like mentors, coaches, whatever. And if you need help, put a comment in. I can find you a million people that can help you right now. I know a million people who coach twin flames and people who have soul connections all the time. They're all over the place, and they're just dying to help you. I mean, you have to pay them, but you have to pay them. But or just find friends online, or just groups. There's all kinds of groups, And anyway, so I think that's all I was going to say. Use your discernment, and like yeah. Know what your expectations are, and really like manage your expectations because just because you think, oh, I want to have a relationship, I want this, I want to have sex, I want to have this, I want to have that, I want to talk all the time, or like I want to get married, or I want this person to leave their husband for me. Okay, you know what? Just that's not realistic. You have to be. you really need to like slow down there, and the other thing is, well, we're not going to get into that today, but so yeah, I think there's a value in sharing those things. I think it can, see, the thing is, if you talk about it, it can deepen the connection. Sometimes we can also lessen the connection if you scare the crap out of the person, or you're creepy about it, or you're stalkery, or you word it in a way, you gotta like kind of put your toe in the water a little bit and kind of just go slowly. Don't just